LaNorris was one of the only people he spoke to as a recruit that did not ask about NIL. And when I look at LaNorris, you have such a good situation in South Carolina. You have a coach that believes in you. You're coming off a great season. Beat your rival to end the season. Not just that, but I think of the future, NFL. Do you really want to possibly mess with your NFL chances for $8 million now when if you go top 5, that's a lot more money than $8 million.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome into South Carolina Sideline, everybody. I'm Matt Dowell, joined alongside Jared Parker this week. Jared, what's up, man?
I'm good. I'm repping the Panthers.
You are?
We're 1 win away from the Stanley Cup final.
All right. How you feeling?
Nervous. But I believe in the boys.
Let's go.
Repping Charlotte FC.
I am. Yeah, we're both. You guys can, if you're listening to us, you can watch us on YouTube. I'm rocking Charlotte FC today, and Jared is rocking Florida Panthers. And he's not a bandwagoner. He is a Florida guy, a Florida native. So have you been a fan of them for a long time, or has it kind of just been like? Because I'm not really a hockey person. So what's your life with hockey been like?
I mean, I've always, any South Florida team I've supported as long as I can remember. But really, it wasn't until like late high school, early college that I started watching more hockey, which happened to luckily coincide with a couple of runs to the Stanley Cup finals. So really became a fan of the whole sport recently, but I'd always supported any South Florida team.
Which is great because like the Panthers, I mean, they have been amazing the past few seasons. So they have been a powerhouse, and it's been a really fun series to watch. So we'll see how it ends and how it plays out. So maybe, are you going to go to the parade if the Panthers pull it off?
I might. I went last year, so we'll see.
All right. Well, this is a South Carolina podcast, so let's get back to the Gamecocks. Before we start, as always, make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow us, comment, all that good stuff. You can watch us on YouTube or listen to us wherever you get your podcast. And Jared, today we're starting with college football, which I think is the first time we've really kind of dived into college football on our podcast, because we started this during the NCAA tournament with college basketball, and there hasn't been too much to talk about when it comes to college football, but we were coming to work today and we saw this article drop from The Athletic. And I want to give the reporter and everybody props to this article because it's a really good article. It's from writer Bruce Feldman of The Athletic, very popular writer, very popular outlet, of course, The Athletic, with the New York Times. And the piece is about LaNorris Sellers. And I think some of the headlines that are coming out of it is really what's grabbing all of the attentions, as headlines should do. And the biggest part, the article is really about, LaNorris' loyalty to South Carolina, his experience going from kind of an unknown on a national stage to being this powerhouse, a potential top pick, in the draft, maybe a Heisman candidate. I know we have known him in South Carolina. I covered him at South Florence, so I remember watching him, but I think on a national stage, he really became a household name last season. But in this article, it talks about his rise to the top of college football, his potential, all of that. But the thing that everyone's talking about is the NIL deals, maybe potential tampering that's been going on. And in this article, LaNorris' dad says, LaNorris has been offered a lot of money from other schools. He says one in particular was an $8 million deal for 2 seasons. And I don't know. Let's just start there. Like, what do you think about it? Because it's a very interesting thing. Tampering has been talked about from all college coaches. I know Tennessee, one of their softball coaches said it's not the money that's the problem, it's the tampering. So what was your reaction reading this article? Because it's a very, very good article, and you guys should read it.
I mean, when I saw that number, I figured it was on brand for a guy like LaNorris coming off of the season that he's had. It would figure that a school would probably want to lock him down for a couple years if they're trying to steal him away from South Carolina. But I was not surprised that he was offered that, and I wasn't surprised that he turned it down because reading the article, you see Dowell recounts that LaNorris was one of the only people he spoke to as a recruit that did not ask about NIL. And when I look at LaNorris, you have such a good situation in South Carolina. You have a coach that believes in you. You're coming off a great season. Beat your rival to end the season. Not just that, but I think of the future, NFL. Do you really want to possibly mess with your NFL chances for $8 million now, when if you go top 5, that's a lot more money than $8 million.
I think, too, this article, to go off of what you're talking about, really showcased who LaNorris is as a person and his character.
Yes.
How much he loves South Carolina, how much he loves the Gamecocks, how loyal he is to this program. A lot of people, you throw $8 million in their face, it's hard to say no to that. And I think, one thing his dad was saying in this article, one of the quotes was that his dad said, like, I'm going to let you make the decision, basically. But you came to South Carolina to get a degree, to go to school, to play ball. And both of them saying, like, it's never been about the money. Dowell Loggins also saying that. And you just don't get that answer a lot anymore. A lot of times it is the money first, understandably, because it's a lot of money in a very short time period. But I just think it says a lot about LaNorris, his family, the fact that he's from South Carolina. He wants to play for the Gamecocks. That loyalty is something that you don't see as much anymore across all sports, across all brands, and teams and states and whatever it is. And it was refreshing, I think, to read that and for him to say it's about the football. It's about the love of the game, the love of the brand, the love. It's about the love. It's not about the money. And he is making, I don't know the official numbers, but he's making a good amount of money at South Carolina with his NIL deals. But I just think that the passion for the sport and the loyalty to this program that he wants to play for was a refreshing take, and it was a refreshing read.
Right, yeah. And you mentioned the money. He's 19, and the article said he's closing on a house this month. So
not bad.
He's being taken care of. It's not like he's not making money here, but I think what really, really illustrated kind of his mentality and the humility that Shane Beamer mentioned was in the article, his dad, Norris, mentioned that he drives a 2007 truck. LaNorris wants to buy him a new one, and his dad said, no, this is the truck that we took for all your visits, going to football camps and showcases and whatnot. And that right there, I read that, I was like, that's it. That's why he doesn't care about the money. That his dad, the way he raised LaNorris, it was a mindset of humility and gratitude. And, once you start something, let's see it through. So that really illustrated to me why I think we see what we see from LaNorris.
And I think, Gamecock fans, when they read this, LaNorris is already so loved and already so beloved, but now when he's showcasing this loyalty and this love for the program, that's only going to make him more loved, and that's only going to make him more valuable to this Gamecock brand. And I don't know what to expect from this upcoming season for South Carolina. I know we'll get into college football more in the coming weeks because they have so many different pieces this coming season, especially on the defensive end. But I do think LaNorris has set himself up for a big season coming up after what he did last season. And he just seems to always be in a good headspace. I don't know if you guys, we've talked to him in press conferences and stuff. The guy is unfazed by like any and everything. He's always calm. He's always chill. He's always just kind of vibing.
That's the truth.
And I think that article really showcased that life is about more than just the dollar signs for him. And he's going to make sure he gets his, money that he deserves, with South Carolina being the face of the team. But it's a really refreshing article. Again, it's from The Athletic and the New York Times, and the writer is Bruce Feldman. And it was really, really interesting to dive into.
Yeah. Now looking back at that with you for LaNorris, because obviously you saw him win a state championship.
Yeah, I did. I think it was at the game that he won.
So, how has this ride kind of been like? Because you saw him win a state championship game, obviously redshirted his freshman year, but last year had to have been a wild ride. And it's like you saw just months after he was even offered by South Carolina. What's that been like?
Yeah, he played at South Florence. So I didn't cover him in high school. That was more like Myrtle Beach, our sister station in Myrtle Beach. But I was at the championship game that he won his senior year with South Florence. And I just remember thinking, this guy is like floating across the field. Like, it was wild to watch. He was so superior to everybody on the field. And I had heard his name, obviously, had followed him, knew what he was doing, but to watch him, and I think I was on the sideline for that South Florence win. And I just remember thinking, he is an unbelievable mover. Like, I don't know if I'd ever seen a high schooler literally feel like they're floating across the football field the way he was that day. Wow. And now we're seeing that, even more now at the college level, how he's doing that to all of these teams. And I know, Shula and Beamer, all of them say they want to focus on the passing and the throwing as he continues to grow. But that ground game, the running ability was spectacular for a senior in high school. And now we've seen it win ball games at the college level for what was his redshirt freshman season. Now he's going into his sophomore year. But I expect him, he's only gotten, physically stronger and everything since then. But I just remember being floored by how fast he was, and just the way he moved was kind of amazing to watch. I've watched a lot of high school football in my time, in my career, and he was a standout from the get-go. I remember being like, whoa, this kid is good. And people saying, who I knew, other reporters on the coast, they were like, oh, just wait, because he's going to get even better. And South Carolina got a dog. And yeah, he's lived up to the hype so far. Really, really looking forward to seeing what he's going to do this coming season. Anything else you want to say about LaNorris in that article? Again, if you haven't read it, it is worth reading. And not only a dive into LaNorris, but also his family. But anything else you want to say about that, Jared?
The last thing was just how they mentioned beating Clemson, how that was a high point for him, especially because Clemson didn't offer him. And going back and thinking of that, I was like, wow, the fact that, we're seeing what we're seeing from him now, and Clemson never even extended an offer, that had to have been some sweet victory. And I know when it comes back to Williams-Brice this year, he is really going to be looking forward to that one.
And can we... Okay, I don't know how I feel about this, because they announced the game times for next football season, and which is interesting because they announced the rivalry time so early. I've never had it announced this early before that I can recall in my entire career. Not every game is laid out, but Clemson and South Carolina are going to play at noon in November here in Columbia. It's at Williams-Brice Stadium this season. I don't know how I feel about it, because I understand from a TV perspective, the ABC game at noon is a great time slot. And that whole day is rivalry, rivalry week. It's the big showcase. But I'm a little bummed that it's at noon again, because that makes the morning, I'm going to be selfish in this, it makes the morning, I think, for everyone going to the game very, very rushed. The anticipation just goes so fast. The game it's just so early in the day, and I think this is one of the premier rivalry games. I'm like, we can't have it the afternoon slot. I understand they got other ones that maybe they want to focus more on, but this matchup in recent years is delivering. South Carolina's won 2 of the last 3. I understood in the Trevor Lawrence years when Clemson was far superior to South Carolina. All right, let's put it at noon. Do what we got to do. And I do think one of those was actually in prime time. But this one, when it's Shane versus Dabo, you have LaNorris and Cade Klubnik. You just have so many great storylines. And it's been back and forth in recent years. I don't understand putting it that early in the day this year. I don't get it.
Especially before the season even gets started.
Yeah, we don't even know how they're going to be.
What if they could be 2 really, really good teams going into that game, and we're just already deciding that, all right, it's at noon. I just feel like I've never been to a game in Willie B yet. I don't know what it looks like at night.
That's right. I forgot you joined after. You went to the Cheez-It Bowl, but you didn't get to go to the regular.
I haven't been to a game in Willie B yet, but I was kind of looking forward. I assumed it was going to be at night. And months ago, I was like, I can't wait to see that environment. Yeah. It's still going to be a great environment at noon.
Absolutely.
I know it's not going to be the same as like a 7 p.m. start.
Yeah. Anyway, I know that everyone's got opinions. And again, it is a great TV time slot. The noon game on ABC is fantastic. I think it's on ABC. I think I remember that correctly. But it is a great time slot. It just is a bummer for fans and the emotions and the anticipation for the day at large in what is a game that people here in Columbia literally circle their calendars for. Yeah. So anyway, it's at noon this year. Nothing you can do about it. We'll be there, and I know it'll be a packed house, but I am bummed at that. We're going to take a time out here on South Carolina Sideline. Up next, we're going to talk the WNBA because the Gamecocks, as always, continue to shine, and A'ja Wilson with a rare injury, and this time it's taken her out for a few games. We'll talk about the WNBA right after this. Well, former Gamecocks in the WNBA just continue to shine. I want to give us some props and shout us out here on South Carolina Sideline because, Jared, we have been on what we're calling the gravy train for weeks now.
Yes.
Allisha Gray in the WNBA not only continues to shine now she's one-upping herself over and over and over. A career-high 32 points over the weekend in the win over the Mystics. And I know we've said she should be in the MVP conversation. To me, she's firmly in the conversation now. Absolutely.
I mean, she was doing it all.
Yeah.
She was getting it done on defense, stealing the ball, locking up, attacking the basket, hitting shots from deep. I mean, I look at that. That was just a complete game.
Yeah.
Probably not just a career high, but definitely her best of the season, I think, so far. And that was just an all-around, start-to-finish domination by Gray.
She's so good. She can do a little bit of everything. I just think she's so underrated on the national scale. I do think she's starting to get more attention the more she puts up these numbers. But, man, is she so fun to watch. And I want everyone to, appreciate what she's doing so badly. And then her teammate, the rookie, Te-Hina Paopao, who's, getting back from that injury, posting 16 points in that same game. So it was a big day for former Gamecocks in Atlanta, and Paopao continues to impress me so much, Jared. I know that her minutes have gotten diminished a bit with Jordan Canada coming back, which I do think she needs more time on the floor with the way she's playing, but Paopao continues to look so comfortable. And I don't know how, if you're a Dream fan, you could want anything else from what she's doing so far.
Right. It's just a perfect look of fit and scheme with Paopao. Just the way she fits into that offense. Like you said, she had an injury, so as a rookie, that could be a really derailing moment in your season because minutes are already hard to come by. So it's good to see her get back out there, feel comfortable. I mean, that last three-pointer she hit, she was several feet behind the arc. So late game, you kind of saw she was getting into her groove. She was dishing the ball well, found Gray, found Griner on a couple of nice buckets. I just think that's such a perfect match between the Dream and Paopao. I don't know if she could have gone to a better team.
Yeah, Paopao, I have to say this too. What's always been so nice to watch about her, and I think it's one reason why fans love her so much, is because she is so happy and so positive.
Yeah.
And I think rookie season can be stressful. It just moves so fast, and it's such a quick turnaround from college. I think sometimes you can see rookies look stressed, or maybe, just look like, okay, I'm going to know my place and kind of do my job. But Paopao is thriving. I mean, she's happy. She's got her fans there. I mean, it's a great vibe. And I just don't think she could have asked for a more perfect match in Atlanta.
Yeah, I think when I watch her, I think there's a balance, right? You have to have a balance, especially as a rookie, between a hard-driven competitiveness, but also not being too hard on yourself. Because like we say, rookies, it can be stressful. It's such a short turnaround. You're going to make mistakes. So you can't be too hard on yourself. And I think we see that with her when we see her happy. But we also know she has that competitiveness that, hey, if you get one on me, I'm trying to get two back on you.
Yeah, it's been so fun to watch the Dream play in general, because I think they've been a nice surprise this season so far, because they are really good. I mean, they are really good. They're one of the best teams in the league right now, and it is because of Allisha Gray and Te-Hina Paopao and Brittany Griner and Ryan Howard, who just has always been an all-star. I've always been such a huge fan of Ryan and everything that she does from back in her Kentucky days, until now. So, watch out for the Atlanta Dream, because I think if they continue to play like this and everyone stays healthy, they can make a push to win the whole thing. I really believe that they have. Team. I do think they're a sleeper team, and I think they have the pieces. And so it's been really, really fun to watch. A team that is struggling and maybe doesn't have the championship pieces this season, and Claire and I talked about this last week, is the Las Vegas Aces. And it's been kind of shocking to watch. And last week, Jared, we talked about how the Aces cannot afford to waste Asia's prime years. And I do think there has been mismanagement with the roster in these past couple of seasons, but now the Aces have been dealt the biggest blow they could ever ask for, and that is that Asia Wilson has been in concussion protocol the past couple of games. And obviously, depending on when you're listening or watching this, Asia might be back or not. I don't know how serious the injury was to her when she took a shot to the face, but she's missed a couple games, so it can't be not that unserious, if that's the right phrasing. But Asia missing time, I think the Aces have had to figure out ways to win. And I know they won one game, lost the other one yesterday in the league, but it's been tough to watch the Aces so far this season. And I think without Asia, it's been a little for them.
Right. I mean, when you watch that team, when she goes to the bench, alone, they look
Yeah.
like night and day. Like, she needs to be on the court for them to be serious competitors. And it really is so rare because when has she ever really missed significant time?
Not
Like,
been a lot in her pro career. A
she's
little bit,
always been available.
a little bit with South Carolina.
Yeah.
She had a couple of injuries, but nothing crazy. And so it is. You're right. It is shocking to see her miss time.
Yeah, but it's just that team. They already weren't looking too hot.
Yeah.
I think this year is definitely not a title or bust year because I just don't think they have the depth to get there. But then you add this blow to them, and you kind of see, wow, this team really, really, really needs A'ja Wilson on the court. Obviously, they won one without her, but as they continue to go on, and like you said, we don't know how long she'll be in the concussion protocol, but I think the longer she goes, the more we're going to see how key she is to that team staying afloat.
100%. In that game they won, I mean, Jackie Young had to put on like a superhero performance, to get them back in it because they were down by a lot in that game, and they pulled out a miracle to even win that game. So the Aces have been hard to watch. It's just shocking to see them struggle because they were dominant for so long. So we'll see how A'ja, when she does come back. We're wishing her the best, of course, as always, hoping she gets healthy and it gets back to 100%. But it's been very, very surprising with how much they struggled. And I don't know, maybe if you're an Aces fan, you saw it coming with the way the roster was laid out. And because I was shocked at the kind of lack of offseason moves.
Yeah.
Obviously, they lost Kelsey Plum. That was, and I don't know if that was a good thing for them. Got Jewel Lloyd in that trade, but other than that, not a lot happened. I was a little surprised. Asia's a little lonely in the post, so she can't do everything. And anything else you want to add about the WNBA? I mean, we could talk about. There's so many Gamecocks in the WNBA. We could talk forever.
She got her first bucket. She got her first bucket. It was a blowout loss, but easy lay. And it's good to just check that milestone off the list. Now you got the first bucket. Keep building from there. Yeah,
because she the first game that she got points, they were just free throws. So this was her first time actually getting one to fall in play on the field. So shout out to Sanaya Fagan, one of my favorites to cover. She's just awesome. And I know that I'm excited to see her keep growing over there in LA. And lastly, before we end today, I talk about our predictions and everything we talk about on this podcast. We've been talking about Gray and Paopao and all these things. We also got to give a shout out to track star JaMeesia Ford because last week Claire and I talked about, is she the most underrated Gamecock athlete right now? My answer is yes.
Yeah.
And you agree with that?
Yeah,
absolutely.
for sure.
She wins all the time, and she kept winning this weekend in Oregon. The 200-meter national champion, Jared. I think the sixth fastest of all in NCAA tournament or NCAA history or whatever it was. JaMeesia
22-11
winning all the time. Shout out JaMeesia Ford.
And second in the 100-meter too.
Yes, I mean she did 4 events, which is crazy. And so shout out to JaMeesia Ford, and Claire's actually doing a story for us this week on JaMeesia for our Watch Fox Sports Zone show that's every weeknight at 11 o'clock. And she was saying that JaMeesia was talking about how she's trying to be more open about her emotions with herself, feeling what she wants to feel, and how that's helping her as an athlete. And she says mental health with the track and field athletes especially is something that she wants to be more open about because they do go through a lot and they do feel a lot and they have a lot of pressure on them. And I don't know if that's a key to her success. I'd like to ask her that, but she's saying that being more open with her emotions is helping her perform better.
I'm glad she's coming out and advocating for that because obviously, track and field, you have a team, but as a 200-meter, 100-meter runner, you're alone in that moment.
Yeah.
It's just you in the finish line. So I can only imagine, especially nowadays with NIL, social media, the cameras, especially being first place. Now you kind of have that all eyes are on you at various moments. I can only imagine the type of pressure that she's dealing with on a day-to-day basis.
JaMeesia Ford, unbelievable. Again, if you are not watching her, well, I guess her season's over now, so you blink and you missed it, but go watch her highlights from this weekend at Nationals because she is just incredible. And I don't want her to be one of those athletes that is accomplishing great things, and then by the time she's done, she didn't get what she deserved, you know, like from
Right.
like a love standpoint and a coverage standpoint. So I want to make sure we do that on our podcast because she is just flat out incredible. Well, Jared, it's been a good time. You got to go get ready for the Panthers, the Florida Panthers. They got work to do.
Yeah, we got work. One more. Just one more.
One more for the. If you're an Oilers fan, sorry that Jared's rooting against you, but he's all Florida Panthers all the time.
One day they can have it.
Yeah,
Just
not this year. Not this year. But thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. As always, make sure to like, subscribe on our YouTube page or wherever you listen to our podcast. We're on Apple, Amazon Music, Spotify, everywhere podcasts are. So are we. I am Matt Dowell. He's Jared Parker. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody. We'll see you for another episode on Thursday here on South Carolina Sideline.